Welcome to the podcast of School Beyond Limitations. In this podcast, you will learn how to guide your child through their school life with the intention to help them find their unique essence that will allow your daughter, your son to live a fulfilled and meaningful life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 19th episode of this podcast. And once again, it's me, Nayeef, and Martina German here with us. Martina, would you like to start today's episode?
Yes, I would like to start the episode because today I'm so extremely delighted because our episode today is about sharing an important story with all of you out there because it's an amazing story. And the protagonist of this story is basically you, Nayeef, because we are so happy that you have been accepted by so many universities in the States, but not only in the States. And this is showcasing that what we are doing at the SBL seems to really, come to fruition now, because maybe we can say, or I can share with the world out there, that you are a very dedicated student, but based on global citizenship, on open-mindedness, on all the different values that we stand for at SBL, But you have not done all the academic examinations and standardized examinations that people think need to be done in order to get access to higher education at all. And you did. You showcase constantly, and that this is possible because of the skills that you've learned and of the personality that you have been showing to the world and are still showing to the world, and your engagement and stuff like that. So Nayeef, I would first and foremost like to congratulate you on the big success, which is a success for you in the first place, but also a success for all of us because we want to shape education. But now the word to you, over to you, Nayeef. I wanted to ask you, what were the criteria for the majority of the universities who actually gave you a place at their and guaranteed you a place at their universities?
Well, thank you, Martina. First of all, I was very selective about the universities that I applied to. I was certain about my major, and I was certain about what sort of setting I would want to go to. And I think before getting accepted in the U.S. universities, it was European universities that I got accepted to. So after that, for whatever reason, I was like, I should explore more, and I applied to universities in the U.S. And majority of the universities that accepted my application and who I've got to connect with and also offered me a place, who gave their decisions, had just a very few requirements. So because I was a distant learner and it's not the traditional way of schooling that I had gone through, I didn't take the IUCSCs or the A-levels or any board exams. The only or few of the only ways they could understand truly my educational journey and my assessments was through my facilitators. So mentorships and their views and their sharings and thoughts about me. And then of course my achievements and my assessments and my evaluation of studies and the lists of courses I've taken, or because they had to do like a holistic approach or holistic review to my application. They looked through all the different activities that I've done or engagements that I did. So this is just a living proof that to access higher education, we don't necessarily always have to stick to that conventional way of education and going through the board exams, which is personally for me is nothing more than just a test of memory. I think it should be beyond just grades. It should be about the personality. It should be about the hunger for learning things and curiosity and nurturing the potential. And I was, first of all, I do want to share it. I'm honestly surprised that this has been accepted because, of course, growing up, I always had this thing in my head because of all, because of the news and everything, like universities generally require us to have good grades and they're very selective. They're very assertive on what are the requirements and what are not. But yeah, it was a shock to me that whoever I've spoken with, they have asked for the curriculum for obviously they have asked for like the curriculum of it, like what kind of courses I've taken and how my education has been assessed. Then it was the recommendation letters from the facilitators. Then it was my achievements and my engagements and activities. And out of all those universities, what was more shocking is that for me, it first of all, it was a challenge because I never want if I could have taken the exams if I wanted to, but I never wanted to. It was a challenge for me that I wanted to prove to myself first and also to the people. And because I've been a student at SBL, which is big on holistic learning and big on giving you the sense and understanding that education is much more than just academics. So considering everything, it was a challenge for me that I took this challenge. I want to get to have an access to higher education without the exams. Can I do it or not? And because I've done it, I also wanted to understand what are their views. And what I've got to find, interestingly, is all those universities are now opening up their minds and they're being open towards students with alternative education. They're exam optional, test optional, many of those universities, because they want to have a holistic review to students' personality and their character and their learnings. And this is exactly why SBL started. It started as a movement to prove to people and to the world that a student's potential is not necessarily binded to their academics. And I think this is just one of the few successful stories. But I think for me personally, I'm more happy. I also messaged Martina a few days ago. I'm more happy that the alternative education is working, and it's working big time in the real world, because the world is requiring very need-specific roles for people to come in and work. And education and work and life, these are not separate things. This goes together. So we need to have a proper understanding. And so I'm more happy that I got that this system is working than I got accepted.
And that's great, Naive. And actually, you already touched upon that, before when you said, you wanted to show that what we are doing is really working. This is great. And I would like you to be a little bit more specific, actually, about what you think, which role played SPL in this enterprise to achieve, entrance and access to university. And I just wanted to open a bracket because I remember when you first got in touch, you were at SBL for 5 years, right? And you are now alumni. So you went through SBL quite for a long time, and you understand exactly what SBL is all about. And at the moment, you are even undergoing the teacher training program with SBL as well. And I really would like to understand from your perspective, what you think SBL actually allowed you to discover, to find out about yourself in order to get there where you are right now.
So of course, as you mentioned, I've been here for 5 years. 5 years is a very long time, a very, very long time. In this 5 years, I think the way I developed, and the way I've grown, of course, the SBL's culture played a big role, because home culture, SBL in the schooling culture, these are all the elements that actually develops and shapes a student eventually, especially kids and teenagers. I was 13 when I joined, and now I'm 18. So it's been a long journey, I would say, for me. And I think the key elements of SBL and its culture for shaping students, and I'm sure you're going to agree with this, is it really wants to uh, personalize support for a student, and it walks along their journey, each and with everyone. It's very individualistic. However, it also gives a sense of working in group, and it gives a sense of social engagement. So when I say individual learning and individualized learning and personalized learning, I don't mean to say that you're separated from others and you do not belong, because SBL is also about belongingness. It wants different cultures, different ideologies and perspectives to belong in one common group and in one common space. And I think for a school like SBL, and let's be honest, I mean, the school has been in existence for not that long, since 2018 or 2019, right? So 7 years. And in these 7 years, I think something magical did happen, that there are success stories coming out of it already. And this is not your regular, kind of system that you just form a school and great students are coming out of it because they're following the same way. There was systemic change in a system which has been practiced for over 200, 300 years, and you just trying to bring a change to it, and it's already working. Why? Because you see, the world has changed so rapidly, especially in the last few decades. With the technology played a big role, people's mentality played a big role. Life is like moving very, very rapidly. Everything is coping up with it except education. So when there is a contemporary system of education that constantly develops itself and copes up with the advancements and with the with the world and the reality that we are living in, this gives students a proper understanding of the realities around them. They don't keep the students stuck at the past. They live in the present, make differences in the present, move forward. And I think I don't know if I've mentioned it ever in one of our podcasts, but SBL, like any other schools, I'm not gonna, okay, I don't mean to like differentiate too much, but in conventional schools you have the school setting, you have home, and you have other activities, and these are all separated. It's not together. At home you have a culture, you're spending time with your family. Very unlikely that you're spending enough time because of school and the school works. And then at school you have a different culture, you have different environment, and because it's not personalized and there is one common way of directing students what to do and what not, you have all the different people with their unique essence following the same direction and falling apart and getting lost in their journey. And then you have the activities and the wishes and desires that they want to do, which is hardly touched upon by most. And what SBL managed to did, and it's still developing, but I think it has over the time portrayed so many successful stories that it's not separating, rather it's connecting the dots and uniting what's being separated already in the traditional culture. It's connecting the parents. It constantly wants the parents to engage with their students. It wants the students to spend more time with their family, be involved with their activities, learn from the family life and the family culture, which I think many parents and most parents would want to do. They would want their kids to understand how life works, how their family works. I'm talking about finances. I'm talking about utility bills. I'm talking about gardening, or about if they own a business and understand their business, and then also be literate. So SBL helps them to literate and to give them a true sense of themselves, because you also need other people to surround yourself with. And if it's a culture that unites people, and if it's a culture that accepts and cherishes and embraces the differences and the uniqueness without any discrimination, I think this safe space even helps them to develop and grow in a much more safer way. And then, of course, SBL is a setting that not only allows, but I think supports students to, touch and work on things that they desire to do and shape their learning in their own way. So all these things, when it's connected, you are more than prepared for college. You're more than prepared to go into career and work. So I think, yeah, you shape your reality.
Nayeef, and I don't have anything to add to that. I just want to congratulate you on this achievement, and I'm also extremely grateful that it works. Our system, SBL system, really does work, and putting the dots together, as you rightly said, is so important, because we can't separate anything from the human, nature, and from human condition, because if you start separating, then we do not understand. And I remember when you reached us, and how you developed over time, what you mentioned before, it's about really finding this why within themselves, and this is where we are very not only interested, that's our why. We want each person to find their whys, and there is each person out there who has a why. And so I think we are showcasing, there are other success stories, as you say, but we need to trust that process also, right? And there is, this is not something that has been just put into place from one day to the next day. There is a lot of research, a lot of experience that flew into the design of SBL, and it's on grounded foundations, and those foundations of course are constantly further developed through co-creation, which is great. And this is what we need nowadays. As you rightly said, life has changed so much over the past decades, and I would even say in the past 10 years we have faced a change that is out of any kind of understanding. If we may look at where we are right now at, we have artificial intelligence, but that's all another podcast. Today I think it's about sharing your success story with the world by saying, that School Beyond Limitations really doesn't just talk about their blueprint, but we put it into practice. And you mentioned mentorship, you mentioned so many other things.
Yeah, before we go, I do want to mention two things. I mean, this story is not to say that academics are unimportant or this is something to walk away from. I mean, of course, if I wanted to be, let's say I'm just using the very common example. If I wanted to be a mathematician, of course, have to do a lot of coursework of mathematics, and basically, it's based on numbers and tests, and I may have taken exams and tests, but this is not something for me, so I chose a different path. This is not to say that academics are more important or less important. This is just to say what suits the best for us and for me and for you. And if it's academics, and it's academics, we had a lot of success with academics as well. I mean, remember, like the people going to universities with the IGCSEs and A-levels. For me, it was not the thing, and I chose a different path. People often fear that whether that path will work or not. I could be a case study that yes, it works.
Yeah.
It works perfectly fine.
And I think, Nayeef, this is it. We actually do not judge what's better and what's worse. We need to support the student in order for them to be able to, to really find and pursue their own calling, and we talk about different pathways. That's why we have e-portfolio and lots of different things. So where we can actually prove that the student, even if they haven't done standardized tests, they are still capable of doing, I would even argue about mathematics, because if I may not do, the tests, but I can prove that I'm really good at it in a different way, then I can still, showcase I'm at the level to access university. So this is why we are here, and there are different ways of reaching your goal, whatever your goal may be. So thank you, Nayeef, for sharing your story with us today. And I think this is a motivation and inspiration for many, and an inspiration also for us to further pursue what we are doing. And to everyone out there, if you have a question mark around your education, there are ways in education to get you wherever you want to. But I need to add something here, Nayeef. The main aspect is that the student also needs to take, learning on board and open up by walking the talk, and not just, laying on the sofa, but by doing something and going out into the world. And this is something you've done.
No, yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, for some students, they need a bit of more guidance and a bit of more directions so that they don't get lost. And I think it's completely fine. I mean, that's why we have some sort of like a course set, not fixed, but set, where, you have the inspiration, you have the motivation to work with. And for some students, like for myself, I never wanted to bind myself with something, and I just explored, and this is how it turned out for me. And to all the parents, if the system of colleges and the world and the work fields are ready for alternative education, are ready for a life understanding more than just academics, why can't you be ready to have your children, engage with something that is much more valuable than just academics?
That's a great ending. Thank you, Nayeef, and thank you for sharing your story again. And see you
Thank
next
you.
time. At School Beyond Limitations, we support our students find their unique essence, Feel free to share the content of this podcast with other parents. We are here to show that your children can indeed bring their unique essence into life. So, reach out to us if you think that this is what you'd like your daughter, your son to experience, or apply through our website. Also, leave your comments, your questions, or your review about the podcast. Share it with others. And as you know, sharing is caring.
Trust and you can see.